ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another weekly installment of the Mod Zoo's Weekly Hangout. What I really loved about the theme song this week is watching the other guys. All of them were bopping their heads back and forth. So the topic of this week is we're going to be discussing what happened as far as modding goes in Computex. That just happened this last week, and what are some of the goodies that we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, and if there was any groundbreaking news to help our hobby along. With us this week, we've got our usual Bill.
Hey everybody, did you miss us? We were gone one weekend.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I say usual? No, we have somebody else here we haven't seen in a while. We have Kyle.
I would say the other three guys are rarely ever here.
Yeah. It's an all-monkey cast for the first time in a long time. We've also got Stu.
Hi.
Our Nubosaurus.
Yes, indeed. We're here in spirit, Bill. You don't have to guilt us, coming on.
And Captain Curry Sauce himself, we have Jesse.
Yes, in flesh and blood.
Styling T-shirt, dude.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what would is there going to be a different logo for the all-female cast?
Nope, they're reusing the same logo.
Oh, okay.
Better not be. This one's glow in dark.
Okay. Just curious.
So before we get things kicked off, I kind of did want to get something out of the way that's not exactly Modzu related, but Bill's going to let me go off here for a little bit. I've mentioned several times I'm a member of the EVGA Folding at Home team, and recently we've discovered that one of our longtime members is not doing so well. He's been battling with cancer for the last several years, and basically figured out that it's not happening for much longer. And so what we did was we threw together, and we're doing a folding mini marathon in his name. And so if any of you who do folding at home, I put together a little link here, tiny URL, which is tinyurl.com/fold4win. And the page that takes you to will be the EVGA forums, and it's going to give you the little rundown of what we're doing, if you want to join in, what changes you need to make to your folding. And basically what it boils down to is we're going to try to drive him to over 1 billion points before the end of the month, and hope that we can make that deadline before he unfortunately makes his.
If you tweet that through the Modzu Twitter account, and then we can retweet it. And anybody out there that wants to join the cause or knows anybody that does folding at home and can join too, yeah, man, just tweet it and we'll retweet it.
Awesome. I'll get that out here in just a few minutes. A little bit happier goings on. Of course, we did have the big Computex. I don't know, what do you want to call it, an event?
Lots of things.
Yeah.
Convention.
Convention, or there's so many different things that people label it. The media says it's their thing, and the fans, of course, claim that it's theirs. The manufacturers are sending out their salesmen to drive everything home to the rest of us. So, I guess it's really up in the air as to who owns it, but it's a big happening that goes on every year. And so I'll hand this off to you at first, Bill, so I can get to that tweet. And
all right,
we've got some different things to go back and forth on.
Well, those of you who are probably familiar with CES, the U.S. version, or Consumer Electronics Show that happens in Vegas in January. And this is kind of like their equivalent in Taiwan, but this is more our core industry for desktop computing, where you're going to see all the manufacturers at this show. Versus CES, you got to almost kind of do a bit more searching to find even just custom PC builds at CES these days. But I will say, as somebody who's been watching or follows CES footage and coverage each year for the last, I would say, I don't know, probably 10 years, this year was probably my favorite from the standpoint of seeing custom PC builds and mods being highlighted by all the manufacturers. It was awesome. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really follow any like the new tech that was being revealed, I just followed all the custom builds. And a highlight for it was watching the InWin hosted case modding contest at their factory on the plant floor. That by far was the best in terms of documentation that you could follow updates on. They had multiple cameras in each of the teams, and the updates were great. The video clips loaded fast when you watch them, and then you could see the social media presence following. I thought it was really good. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I definitely think it's one of the best modding contests that's happened yet.
Yeah, they definitely did their homework on what people would want to see. And so there was, I believe, 8 different teams. Do you guys have a favorite you were watching? And what's cool is that we had kind of given a preview that BS Mods, who we both had Rod and Bob on our Hangout a few weeks ago before they left. They're one of the teams from the U.S. And then another team from the U.S., Lee Harrington and Ron Lee Christensen. And I'm kind of like wondering, guys, how was it possible that they had 2 teams from the U.S. and then 1 team from the other countries, which were France, Australia, China, Great Britain, and was there anybody else I'm missing?
Germany.
Germany, yeah. So how is that you could have 2 teams from the U.S.? I mean, it's cool, but...
Awesome.
What was that?
We're just that awesome as a country.
Yeah, yeah, we're just that
America's still great. America's still great.
You know, they were there to make modding great again.
I would say they did. You know, in terms of what they did, let's see. If I don't have it available, but if somebody wants to screen share like the hosting page for the InWin case modding contest, we can take a look at the submissions that these guys did. And there was 3 different themes they had to go to that they had to abide by, and that was medieval, military, or science fiction. There's the page right there.
I got it up. I don't know if somebody else does. All
So
right.
there at the top is Ron Lee Christensen and Lee Harrington, and they did a Titanfall case mod. And I got to say, that was probably my favorite one out of all of them because I felt that it had just so many different fabricated features on it. And then second would be the BS Mods. And not just because they're from the U.S. I honestly think, I feel that those guys did real case modding where they actually fabricated parts for the chassis.
They did a lot of metal work for theirs, which is pretty sweet. The whole outer ring around this part is pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, the framework on it is sweet.
Yeah.
And then they had won was a People's Choice Award, or it was
an I think innovation. Or not innovation. It was like InWin Choice.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Bob had mentioned that they're actually going to have a retail version. Part of the deal is that InWin would release a retail version of that.
Yeah. The British build too also got that same award. And I think they said they'll have them at CES this year too.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's good. Nice.
So if we go.
Stu, you were saying one of the guys ended up in the hospital that was on one of the teams.
Yeah, one of the British guys did it. Well, I think
That's B-Neg right there.
B-Neg, yep. I think he had heat stroke, I saw, and then Dave Alcock ended up in the hospital. The skin infection. So
Daniel had to finish off the mod then.
No, I think they were both able to. They were both able to finish it off, and then it was after everything was completed that he went to the hospital.
Yeah, I like what they did. I think it was really clean and well executed. Then the guys that ended up winning was a team from China. These guys that I'd never heard of before.
These guys, Kun Mod. Yeah, I've never heard of them either.
They look like they're the only ones that had a vertical GPU in their build.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Okay, so those were the top 4 for the results, or no? No, it was the guys from Australia were like.
No,
second.
yeah. They got, I think, Innovation Award.
But that one I think was from Thermaltake, or was it Inwin?
No, it's Inwin.
This is all Inwin.
Yeah.
Okay, this was what's interesting is that our last Hangout we talked about theme mods versus clean mods, and this was clearly, again, the themes competing against one another. This is a military theme here, and then the Running with Scissors guys, B-Nag and Dave, did like a clean mod, and then the guys from China's was clean, and then so definitely the 2 most popular styles worldwide, you know.
Yeah.
What I would like to have seen, I mean, my only request, and I'm sure Inwin will do this again because I'm sure it was successful for him, is I'd like to see more transparency in like the voting and judging. I don't really know who the judges were, and I'd like to see like the judges share their feedback on why they chose the ones they did.
Yeah, there is a judging breakdown a bit.
It's just by percentages, though.
Yeah, so in the Best Design Award, Innovation Award, it breaks down. It doesn't say who the people were, but it says the organizations. But it also doesn't show the percentages. So they've likes of BitTech and TweetTown and stuff were in the invited media and then partners. But it doesn't actually say how they calculated that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vote anyway. And online voting was only 30%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to, I would say that it's hard when a team has like a bigger social media following than your team, maybe because, like the Kunmod guys, I've never seen them anywhere, so I don't even know if they even have a fan page or not. But nonetheless, they won. But I think that could be an advantage of that public voting. If you have a larger, social media following, you can ask your fans to vote for you. So
yeah.
So, but anyways, I think what Inwin did is they showed a template for future contests like this for people online to watch. I think that was very well done.
Yeah.
I think we've discussed the. Carry on, Stu.
Spreading it out over 3 days was a really good idea. Just so, like, the Mod 24 event was cool, but I think it was almost too hectic that the quality didn't maybe end up as high as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing, the speed of the updates and the quality of the updates was really good. Like, you were getting live footage stuff, and then you'd go, and it was all in a gallery, so you'd click on the team, and you could see all the stuff for that team right there. You didn't have to go hunt for it, look around for it. It was all right at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And it has its own web page too, which is really great. So.
Yeah, that was awesome. Something to keep in mind, huh, guys, if we were to do something.
Yeah. I think that kind of goes with what I'm saying, but I was also going to go with that people don't really care about the actual quality of the footage. It doesn't have to go through 10 hours of editing before it goes on YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they could push those updates out as fast as they did, but I completely forgot about the Mod 24 event, and that kind of puts it in a different perspective. But that was it. The fact that it was structured and they had actual updates on a regular basis, and I think that pulls in a lot more interest to the competition on a whole. People can't be bothered sitting there watching for 24 hours.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, you can just catch casually, and we were watching like the first day results, and this had started before CS actually launched. It was like that Friday before, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and that was another great idea on their part, is to get people ramped up for Computex before it actually the event starts. Here's something that's related to it that's going on already. So people like us are like, hey, we can't wait till Monday, and then we can check out and tune into this. So yeah, that was very well done. And we hope, I put the message out to those guys that we hope to have at least the two U.S. teams join us for a hangout sometime in the future. But along with that, that was like the big modding event. There was also, brand new product reveals, and the one that really caught our eye was the Fantex Elite Full Tower, which is Fantex' first all-aluminum chassis. And Hardware Canucks had done a nice preview video of it. And Jesse actually knows a bit more about this chassis than we do. Jesse, what's your take on this?
So yeah, at CES, they displayed this case as Project 916. I don't know if any of you guys remember. And first look at it, it's a big, beautiful aluminum tower. And one of the things that jumps out is the fact that the side panel is glass and it has a slit in the middle, which I think me, Stu, and Greg felt was an amazing design aspect. And I remember mentioning to Boone that it would be nice to just, like a lot of case companies are now putting in extra slots for vertical mounting of the GPUs. One thing I had mentioned to Boone was, instead of doing that, have a plate or a mount that just goes back into the same PCIe slots, and you can mount your GPU vertical. So instead of, why reinvent the wheel when something's already there?
It worked out well.
Yeah.
Now, the price tag on is $700, gang. Are you in a little bit of shock over that?
Yeah. No. I think it's got to the point now where I'm not even shocked. When motherboards are coming out in that price range as well, like, it just seems to be the way that the enthusiast kit goes. They're following the same Intel price points that they've had for years, where you take out your flagship model costs so much that only the small handful of people ever buy it, but everybody else looks at it, and then you have everything else that people will actually buy because they see your flagship product that they could never afford. So I'm not really surprised that it's $700.
That's a very valid point, Kyle. The flagship to promote the rest of the line, yeah, the innovation, yeah.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
They might even sell that at a loss if they put a shed load of, because who really cares? It's their marketing tool.
Good point, man. And what I wanted to say is that we're not seeing that as much as we used to. The flagship full towers. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah. I was going to say, one thing I've always noticed about Fantex is their pricing is very competitive. So for them, like Kyle mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if they're either selling it at cost or maybe even at slightly at loss. Because, look at that side panel. That's a slit in the middle of a tempered glass panel. And I think that is just impressive design.
Badass.
Yeah. And if I remember, I know the prototype they had at CES, one of the things that Boone wanted was to have the front panel slide down and you press a button and it will just slide back up. And also the fact that you get different mounts or plates to cover up the top fan mounts. I think that's a nice idea too. So, oh God, don't show me that.
All right, this brings up another note about Computex.
Yeah.
Okay. Notice, everybody, that the views on this video are 112,000 views. Okay. You're a manufacturer and you're revealing a new product at this tech show. You've got to raise the level of quality in presentation. Okay. This, to me, if I found out like an employee or somebody representing my products had a build like that, cable management, I would be so angry. I don't get it. I don't know. I love Fantex. I respect Fantex, but this is unacceptable. I'm sorry. You can't. I can't even distinguish what chassis this is anymore, because everything's just, I don't know.
Why do they have a jumper cable in there as well?
I was just about to ask that.
Faking it. Faking it.
By the looks of it, they've got their two PSUs in there, and they've jumpered one of them so that they can power stuff with it and make it look like they've got two.
You know, they sell a power combiner.
Oh my goodness.
Attic splitter.
Secrets are being revealed at the Hangout today. All right. Anyways, this wasn't the only example of this. We saw some other builds from other booths, and I guess all I can do is just, and you guys out there that are sponsored by some of these manufacturers, is say, hey, look, you've got to just do better cable management on these builds that are getting coverage. It just makes you look better as a manufacturer. You know.
You know, Bill, this is where I kind of fall back to one of the things I admire about you is when you make a cut, you clean it up because for you, it doesn't matter what's just on the surface. And what I see in a lot of builds lately is it's all about what's on the surface. I mean, you go look at pictures of other people's builds, there's barely pictures of the back where the wire management is.
Where all the secrets are.
You know, because it's time-consuming, and this is just like, yeah, let's just make it all look pretty, but uh-oh, they asked us to open the back panel.
It's true. I was just talking to Insolent Gnome. Where was this? Oh, somebody is like, when you go to these shows, yeah, because he's traveling these different LAN events, some of these modders that are getting media coverage and stuff, you get an opportunity to actually see the quality of work they do in person versus the final photos of all the right angles of all. And yeah, once in a while we've seen things that we thought that somebody that, hey, we respected and we thought was putting a lot of time into it, they're hiding all their laziness inside. It's all being hidden away. So, yeah. I mean, you gotta, I mean, if you're gonna do stuff for a trade show, like for example, another example, Dave, I know he's sending one of his builds to E3. It's gonna be at Microsoft's booth. And this is the first time that he's going to have one of his builds at a big event. And I know Dave, we all know Dave, that Dave's the type of guy that he's going to pick over every fine detail, knowing that people are going to be inspecting it and judging what type of work he does by his work.
Yeah.
You know? So,
well,
all right.
Why is the back panel even open?
Yeah, if it looks like that, it's like, no, we don't take the back panel off here. It's just is on and it's there forever.
It's super glue it in. Like, yeah, get some actual super glue.
Go back to the back of the case, please, if you can.
All right, sir. I can find it now.
No, not the actual, just the back panel, the back I/O. Saw something weird.
All right, hold on.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's just a dummy build. That's why it's jumpered. That's why.
Right there. What's that little grommet for?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Triggered.
What's that grommet for?
I don't know.
Allowing you to put a USB cable inside or video from GPU inside, but yeah, I don't know.
It's for the water cooling stuff. It's, you know, all your water cooling stuff can come out there. That's what's for.
One tube can come out. I don't know. Well, we'll give them the benefit of doubt. It's probably a prototype. You know, it's not the final retail version.
Yes. Regardless, I think it's still.
I got it, guys. I've got it. They know that everyone's going to spend $800 on the case and not be able to afford real hardware. So that's exactly what that's for, is the USB pass-through.
To your Raspberry Pi? Or I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. What were you going to cover here next? Let's go. Okay, highlight reel of. Let's see. I'll pull it up here. Was there anything else from Fantex that was revealed at Computex, guys, other than the Elite?
No, I think that was their biggest thing.
Okay.
Oh, they did the all their water block stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What thing?
Let's see, their water blocks.
Oh yeah, the water blocks, correct.
Yeah, a GPU for the 1080, a GPU water block for the 1080, and then CPU water block.
Sorry, on that point, I'm just going to put this up there for now. So all of these manufacturers have just come out with water blocks for the 1080 and for the 1070. But will any of the GPU manufacturers follow those footprints ever, like they have I don't think any GPU manufacturers have ever followed the reference design to help people water cool ever.
No, that's where the Founders Edition
you have to get your the Founders Edition, the reference block, and that's it. Otherwise you have to get the specific block for the specific.
It drives me insane. It's not that difficult.
No.
Because normally the problem is that the memory's a few millimeters out of place. Like, just move it. It's what I do. That's what I do. I do electrical design, PCB design. It's not that hard.
Well, Kyle, I think it's not about that. I think it's a lot about where I feel like Strix. And yes, Strix are for kids. I think it comes down to the cooling. One fan compared to, coolers with 3 fans.
But the coolers with 3 fans still have a singular heatsink that
and it's a trade-off between, like certain companies have tried GPUs where the fans are smaller, they become loud. So you want to make the fan quiet. I mean, the MSI fans and the Asus Strix fans are almost 120 mil fans.
Yeah.
But that's why heat pipes are invented. Literally, the reason for heat pipes is to allow them to take the heat from where they are and put them into something else to cool it down.
But Kyle, it doesn't look as cool.
Yes, it doesn't look as cool, and I'm gonna buy it and put it face down.
That's alright. We'll get back onto the Kyle is a terrible person that doesn't like cool things when we get to some of the other stuff that Computex has announced.
No, Kyle, the problem is that you're just thinking logically. and the general public just doesn't, they don't, it doesn't look as cool that way. Anyways.
Sorry, last thing. Somebody's just posted in the YouTube chat that the grommet is for RGB pass-through, which makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
For all the wonderful desks that people have now.
Mm-hmm. Passable. Well, maybe.
So I can put RGB in the back?
No, but you can connect your your lights on your desk to your motherboard so that it all lights up together.
I suppose.
Yeah. So
I suppose.
Your under desk and your behind monitor lighting will match your PC, and it's so lovely.
It's kind of look like a Honda Civic rolling down the highway.
You need a wing. You need a big wing for the back of your desk chair, and then you're all set.
I'm pretty sure some case maker would do that, It'll be like the Antec wing.
We need like the DX Racer wing, and then it's just you're rocking.
Anywho, CPU Magazine, who went to Computex, did an excellent highlight reel of the different custom PC builds at Computex and mods, and
that I like that.
Back?
Yeah, those there's like 2 gigabyte ones that are really odd and funky looking.
Wait, that one?
That one? Yeah.
That one, and then there's one further back as well. The orange
it's like
one.
2 before that. Yep.
Okay, that is pretty cool. Anybody have any idea who did that? I'm thinking they're in.
I really want to know who did all of these mods because I haven't seen any of them pop up anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I imagine these modders over there, they're not on BitTech. They're not.
This is true.
They're probably in their own communities and stuff like that. But yeah, Gigabyte definitely brought the A game for different custom PC builds. Even this little guy here, this little forklift truck, that's pretty sweet. Little reservoir on back. This pretty crazy.
That's pretty awesome. Like just the weathing and all that.
Yeah, the weathing on it rocks.
Look really nice.
Yeah, and it looks like it's rotating too. The turret on it's going. This too. And I saw a concept for this a few years ago, something like that. So I don't know if it's.
And I like what it looks like is that's the actual video cards that are those side pieces.
Yeah, great work. And then I don't know if it's in here, but there's a Ghostbusters firehouse from Legos. Oh, there it is, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. this build here. I don't know who this is. Maybe if anybody in the chat knows any of these people, just post their
That's a nice one
modern
too.
name. Yin and Yang Reservoir. Looks like. This is cool too. This seems to be the new trend too. The milled channels for liquid in builds.
And that's the ATX power by the looks of it as well.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
This is looks like it's a hex gear chassis. That's a hex gear chassis. So
Yeah.
that
I wonder
might have
if
been
that's
built by Pope.
That's probably
Yeah.
and has to be involved with that. I know he's good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of stuff going on in this one. I don't know. This was cool. Looks like it was milled and then engraved and ice
that
finished.
was a Chinese
Oops.
modder I saw.
Okay. It's kind of cool. Hey, I like this too. Star Trek Enterprise. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a clever use of where the video cards are once
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now this one's interesting. iBuyPower. And what they did, and there's actually video of this. Does anybody in the chat recognize this mod? Was it done by anybody else that you may know from the zoo?
I've never seen it before.
Either have I.
That is
That
cool.
must be the first of a kind.
So the Mosquito was the first documented video side panel where he took apart the LCD screen and implemented into his PC mod, and that was visible contrast. So let's see. Here's a video clip of Moss's. And what was the year on that? 2013 November. So, whoops. Yeah, sweet idea. So, iBuyPower definitely inspired by that. That's cool.
Talking about cable management, Moss, sort your life out there.
Peter Brands posted in the chat those ones for Gigabyte. Let's see, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Suchao mod, Suchao. Is the guy that does it. He did that really cool Strix one, maybe a couple years ago. That was an owl, and then he did a Thor Hammer.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let me see. I've got.
Yeah. I've seen that guy's work. It's amazing.
Yeah, here's some of his stuff. So here's the owl. This one was crazy, very cool. Yeah. And then there's Thor Hammer. Here's the Gatling gun one. My internet's being slow right now. That looks pretty sweet. So we did this elephant.
Yeah, didn't he design that owl so the wings could actually fold in?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. So yeah, very cool stuff. I don't know. He appears to be Southeast Asian.
Mm-hmm.
So not sure exactly where he's from, but very cool.
So continuing on from that one, it is a fun mod to do. Great for promoting stuff. Got a Hello Kitty.
8-pack.
Yeah. Vertical GPU.
Some more mills.
I've seen this before. This has been around for about a year or so. This mod. Seen that before.
That's better than the you know which mod I'm thinking about, Bill. The Darth Beavis one back in the day.
Oh yeah. He had like it was like a illuminated head on it, right?
Yeah.
When you look close at this, the genius is the chassis that he made. Check out, it's almost like it's like a motorcycle, or maybe he took it from a motorcycle chassis and modified it.
If you go back to the front of it, you can see that that's an exhaust manifold.
3-in-1.
cool.
I
And
like this.
This is a new in-win case. Anybody know which model case this is?
They had it at CES. It's maybe the 805
Yeah.
with the infinity mirror front. They had it. They talked about it at CES. They weren't sure if they were going to do a retail or not. They were just kind of testing it out, seeing how people liked it. So that
though.
Yeah, very. I think it'll be a retail version from them. With the infinity mirror deal.
Drew, didn't 70s Hi-Fi do that too?
Yeah, but nowhere near as awesome as this.
What were we going to say, Jake?
I was going to say, with the amount of RGB this year, I think they could just call it the psychedelic version.
Yeah, there was lots of RGB products at Computex this year. A lot of new fans.
Yeah.
And a lot of PTG being used in mods. Seems to be that these open. There was some reveals of the open chassis design similar to this Thermaltake one by ID Cooling, and where the liquid actually goes through, and it kind of looked like an in-wind D-frame, and the liquid goes through the chassis tubing. However, we don't know if that's exposed aluminum inside that tubing. We don't know if they're plating it or not. But I gave a shout out at ID Cooling and asked if they could send a sample when they're ready, and they said sure. So we'll have to see it in person.
Oh, we should, or I think it would be good to mention too, Thermaltake did, which I think we'll probably see more of. They did a modding competition. That's what this case is from, Mackie Rolls, all these. I think that's going to be a big, or another expansion of the modding world is companies doing competitions like this, and then they display the builds at CES or Computex or whatever. So
I hope so. It's a great opportunity to get your stuff shown off.
Yeah,
it's probably cheaper than paying people to build them anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, an opportunity to win something for your efforts. Yeah. Okay, is this real? Just displayed for fun.
I need to cool my hands. My wrists get too warm while
That'd be pretty slick. If it was all aluminum,
that would be
cap.
sweet.
10-hour gaming sessions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one looks like it's in ice. Yeah, you don't see enough custom keyboard stuff.
Yeah.
BS Mods, that was their build for the Deep Cool booth. They given us a preview.
That's very sweet. I just saw that yesterday, or I saw some pictures of it yesterday.
The marbleized finish that they did on it. Yeah. I've seen this before. This design, and like somebody in Brazil did something similar to that. The theme kind of looks like one of those games from like Chuck E. Cheese. Those
where you put a penny in the
redemption things. Yeah, where you get like a little toy in it.
Grabber claw.
Now this guy's showing some projects on our forum. He did that Batman head.
Oh.
Okay.
So he's got like a little main cabinet he created. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's that new MSI case that was released.
That looks a lot like the old Alienware Predators.
Yeah, or what was it? The HP.
Yeah.
Bluebird or whatever.
Bluebird.
Yeah.
Or Firebird, something along those lines. It had bird in it.
I dig this paint job because this is kind of old school custom chopper gas tank, the metal flake and the striping in it. That's
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the blending on that, so it's almost that one flawless finish coat.
mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Oh, and this is that AeroCool DIY kit that they're making.
Oh yeah.
You can build your own chassis.
That looks more
Next.
like a 3D printer.
Yeah, it does look like one. The fans are completely pointless. They're not really cooling anything, but they look cool on there.
Stabilize the case.
This is interesting. This is the Supermicros mid-tower case, and I did that window for them. Wait, no, this wasn't it because I would have U-channel mine. I had to do last month 12 windows for them, but I don't know where they were going. So that's their new chassis.
I like that painting, by the way.
That might be an etch or vinyl film.
Now, who gets the pop culture crossover on this one? I can't be the only one.
I get it. We get it. Yeah. How can you not get it?
Oh, the evil dudes.
Wait, so that's Kirk, right?
No Queen fans in the house, I see.
Yeah, obviously Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, of course. Not missed. Not missed on me, at least.
Drew, you could maybe find if you used an applique, that may exist somewhere where you could get it.
Graphics got to be out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty well done, R2D2.
Well,
And I've seen this guy's work before. He's done work for Asus, I believe. If it's the same guy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There's been lots of phones integrated into PCs this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder where that idea came from.
It's super easy. I mean, you pick up an Amazon Fire Phone used for like $40, and you can play video on it. You can, yeah, it's and it's on Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's super easy. Air. Speaking of, looks like air intake on the top. I don't even know what chassis that is. Oh, that's a Cooler Master case.
Is that a wing on the top?
It looks like it.
We're getting there.
We're getting
there,
there.
boys.
Another
We got a Honda Civic. Yeah,
master case.
It pains
There's
me
a-
to say it, but like I almost like the Master Case.
It grows on you. It really does.
But all of you that have known me for as long as we've been doing podcasts knows what I think of Cooler Master. But it's growing on me.
Yeah.
We know you're weird.
So you get, I mean, Computex, you're just tons of custom builds. It's just awesome. It's such a great venue for this hobby.
And this,
So if any of you manufacturers want to send the mods out to Computex, just let us know.
we'll be there, or we'll be on the plane for you.
So
But
here's
I
all
think
the-
it's such a contrast from CES because I think a lot more of the manufacturers get a booth in Computex.
Yeah.
I
To
guess
showcase
it kind
this
of helps
stuff.
that lots of them are based out there anyway.
Yeah, it's their home show.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
it's the home of our industry. So
Computex.
Yeah,
Even Bits Power had a big booth at Computex.
it would be really cool to see this kind of stuff at CES in mass quantity.
It would be, but I'm just, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not holding my breath, but
It would be nice to at least see the U.S.-based companies try it. I mean, I understand that, some of those companies are headquartered around that part of the world, so for them it's just a drive or a short flight. Whereas I would like to see U.S.-based companies try it at least. I mean, that's the only show we get,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was there something other than these builds that, like a new product that any of you guys spotted that really intrigued your interest?
right,
Well,
I'm going to put up there before anybody else gets in.
Okay.
What's with all the RGB?
Oh, it's so good.
RGB
So
motherboards, RGB fans, RGB graphics cards, RGB cables, RGB water cooling pipes, RGB. Why? Why does everyone need so many colors in their life? Why don't you just look out the window?
I think it has a lot of appeal for someone that's not going to go do a mod, but something that they can do to customize it and continue to customize it because they can just change the lighting effects. They don't have to do all, you know, you have a regular case, but now you can make it whatever color you want just with the lighting. It's just easy for someone to do that, and I think there's a lot of appeal in that for the market.
That, and from a manufacturing point of view, I think it's pretty damn cheap to add RGB, and then jack up the price by a good 60, 80 bucks.
And that's the problem I have with it. Why don't I have? Why can't I get $60 worth of actual component upgrades opposed to a few gimmicky LEDs put inside my RAM slots?
Well, how else are you going to see where the RAM stick has to go? You know?
It shouldn't be powered on.
I just feel it's just, I don't know, a part of me feels sad that companies are focusing so much on RGB and all this stuff.
That's true. Very good point.
I would like to see, the only coolest thing that I saw, and I already forgot who did it, and I think I shared that yesterday. So this motherboard that has a thin ITX form factor with the 1151 Skylake socket and a 1070 build right on top of it.
Yeah.
That was, honestly, to me, was the coolest thing that I saw, period.
I have to agree with that, actually.
And that is what innovation is.
Yes.
Or what I want to see, though, is having that socket, and instead of it being just an integrated, soldered-on 1070, why can't we stop buying graphics cards like we buy GPUs? have that motherboard.
How dare you speak logically again?
You're trying to kill the industry, Kyle. I think we talked about this in a previous, didn't we? Maybe in the last one, about how the industry is just kind of, in a way, it's I don't know, it's not advancing because then you're going to kill off part of the industry, right? Kill off, you know.
Yeah. Here's what Jesse's talking about from Colorful.
Yes.
So it's a GTX 1070 and it's got to be 1150 or what is it?
51.
52.
See, the other thing I
51,
like about that is, if you notice, there's no big 24-pin, 8-pin power connectors.
Yeah, right.
You know, one of the things I would like to see, or I know we in the group as a group have talked about this a lot, and I would like to ask somebody, why do we still need 24-pin connectors on a board? You know,
because
I think
then it takes the regulation off of the board and puts it somewhere else so that you can have the big transistors and.
Yeah, but I think you can.
Because if you've only got a 12-volt pin going onto your motherboard, then your motherboard needs to have a lot more voltage regulators than it does currently. Because components that are made to 5 volts, then USB is powered directly from the power supply, and stuff like that. You can just integrate all of that without. If you had just a 12-volt or 24-volt power socket going into a motherboard, then you would have to have a monstrous cable for the amount of current that would be going through there, and also have to deal with regulating that voltage locally, which just becomes noisy.
Well, I guess the way I feel it is that a lot of new hardware is starting to become low power consumption.
It is.
I would like to see us get to a point that we don't need as many cables to power everything.
Yeah, it will get there for some things, but for your big gaming rig, imagine opening your power supply and trying to fit all of those components onto your motherboard.
I will do it. I will super glue them.
Glue! Duct tape!
Yeah, there you go. Some spit. Wait, good. I'm going to need RGB to see where I have to plug shit in.
But for some boards, like the Intel Atom, which obviously is not as powerful as a board like that, but going to some of the lower power, the 40 watt, then yeah, there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah, it's
But
just
as soon as you're going,
a lot of those is just like a 19-volt brick it powers, and all
Yeah.
all the power regulation is on the board though. So if you have something that goes bad power-wise, you have to replace the board. You start to run into those issues where you don't have a power supply to replace.
Right, and then everything has to be replaced, driving up the costs for supporting that. So
if you plug in something wrong on that, you blow the boards. I mean,
right.
That's the only thing there is to blow.
Wait,
And
so isn't that good for the industry?
Sorry?
That's good for the industry because that means you have to buy the shit again.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The industry, nobody would buy it because they know they'd break it. And just to put on the point that is possible, I know at work we have blown up multiple tens of thousands of pounds worth of electrical equipment because we've plugged them in the wrong way around.
Yeah.
That sounds like
happens.
an HR problem. Maybe they should hire more competent employees.
Well, it's like a lot of that stuff, some of that runs off like 19 volt, some of it runs off 12 volt. So if you plug the 19 volt into the 12 volt, you'll blow it, and it's the same connector. So I did some work for an industrial PC supplier, and yeah, a lot of issues. You'd see stuff like that just blown out. So you can get it, and it happens, but there's downsides to it.
Well, speaking of power, Droop's got his favorite product announcement queued up.
Yes, sir. So it wasn't even really an actual product announcement so much as just a teaser that Jacob threw up on the Twitter feed. But their EVGA has got a connector in the works to move power from the top of their cards down to the side.
That is
Pretty slick.
Yeah, you've already mentioned this, I believe, in the Skype group, but as it would be interesting to see whether they now make all of their GPUs compatible with that, or whether they make them compatible with the GPUs.
Probably not. Probably only high-end ones.
But it would be nice if all of the GPUs followed form factor where
Please.
those power connectors are
There
essentially
he goes
from the
with
end.
the water.
I'm just so
We can't even get the same, for water blocks, we can't even get the same off reference. Good luck with this.
Well, I will say that following conversations on Twitter, they are making the 6-pin, 6 and 8-pin combination, dual of each. Basically, they are looking to do this with as many of their video cards as they can, including the new 10 series where it's the single connector. And they've realized that there is a big need for these kinds of add-ons, and it sounds like they're really going to make an effort to giving them as many as we can possibly get, so that's fantastic to me.
Yeah.
And the big thing too is I was asking them when if they had any actual ETA for an official release versus just the teaser, and they're still tweaking details as they're going along. So this is something that they've been working on for a while, is my gathering.
interesting idea. Just like even just shrouding a cable holder shroud, basically, where you can hide the your power connections to your GPUs versus having them hang out front and stuff. And I know that people like to see them individually sleeved with the cable combs and all that. But
And you can see it here, and this is off of a 1080. I mean, just look at how much
it's
cleaner
clean,
it
man.
looks.
It's great. It's definitely going to sell.
See, there was another one. He had there we go, stack of cards, so you can actually see what it looks like just laying out like that.
Oh, we were discussing single sleeve cables years ago. I can't even remember which podcast it was, where there was the Mod Zoo, or where there was even the back with the Mod Brothers. But I think it's good. There's got to be something else that comes out soon, and that might be the start of it. That starts that new
variation. Yeah, like custom GPU add-on stuff. Yeah.
Well, and even like just hard extensions to run everything back behind the motherboard. So something you can paint that there's no cables at all.
Yep, and we've had, like, when Stu, last time you were on, you shared a Tillis mod for the 90-degree 24-pin connector.
Yeah.
Okay, so when is a manufacturer going to wise up, or one of you guys watching tell one of your contacts, hey, look, there is no 90-degree pin connection that people want, so we can hide those wires. So there's one right there. There's a...
I think the biggest problem with that idea might be how different boards have the 24-pin located, and how on a case, because a lot of times it happens to me that I'll put the board in and the 24-pin cable never lines up.
Yeah.
Grommets and on the board.
It's right.
Yeah,
there you run into every board has a different location.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Yeah.
universal.
It's not going to work for everybody.
Every case. Yeah, every case is different where the cutouts are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good to keep quiet here.
Go to bed, Kyle.
I think you're ready for marriage now.
Yes. Yes. All right. So, okay. Other than that, anything else, guys, that caught your eye at Computex? Anybody in the chat? Something that we haven't mentioned at Computex? So, like a major disappointment? Maybe you were expecting to see something and it didn't happen at Computex? Or...
I would quite like to have seen more X99 boards. I've been looking at my new system, as you lot have been putting up with my pestering all day. But so X99 came out in 2014. They've just announced a new. They've just announced the new processors for it, and yet there is still no new M80X boards. Where are my M80X boards?
Because nobody cares.
But all the cases are getting smaller.
I know, but I feel that the X99, in order to fully utilize what it offers, you need a board that can support, you can run 2 devices in SLI too, because you're getting the amount of PCIe lanes you need, and you gotta have a board that has about 8 RAM slots. Oh, and have to be RGB because,
And that's the latest motherboards are all just RGB. There hasn't been a huge amount of innovation in 2 years.
Wait, we figured out a way to stick plastic pieces on top. That's innovation. No, I know, like, Graham just got the new Strix X99 board from Asus, and I'll say this, it seems like a decent board. We'll have to see how it performs, but it seems like a decent board, and I do agree with you that it feels like it's the more of the same stuff again and again, and there's nothing really new.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I think the next year when we see Skylake E, Intel has a new socket. I think it's 38. It's a 38 something. So it's like almost double the size of a 2011 socket.
By the way, Jesse,
we're not going to have any motherboard space. Like, imagine trying to fit that onto MITX.
Oh, by the way, Mosquito's in the chat, and he says, "Don't listen to him, Kyle. More ATX." More likely. Gary Murphy brought up a good point that I noticed too at Computex. Corsair didn't really announce any new cases. Not that I saw. There's definitely been a lack of full towers, other than the Elite by Fantex. No real big monster towers, gang. That market is diminishing. Hate to say it.
It is, but at the same point, all the motherboards have gone to EATX or ATX. It sounds to me like nobody's really communicating, or are the systems just much easier because you don't have a bank of 10 3.5-inch drives and a whole bunch of optical discs anymore? Are the cases just getting smaller because everyone is just running 4 SSDs instead of a bank of hard drives?
You speak for yourself, Kyle. I'm quite happy with my bank of hard drives. Thank you very much.
I know you're quite happy with the bank of hard drives, but when was the last time you bought a case to facilitate that bank of hard drives?
Well, thankfully, I actually haven't had to in a while, but
yeah.
The Lux, how many drives, Drew? How many 3.5-inch drives are you using right now in your build?
I've got 8 that 4 of them are in one of the 4x3 external boxes, and the Lux has room for 5 more, I think.
You just reminded me of something I almost forgot. You said box, external. That damn. Did anybody else see these external GPU enclosures?
Yes.
Yeah, they like teased it like 2 years ago, maybe at Computex.
Yeah.
Now Drig's got an argument in support of them. He likes the idea. Tell us why.
Well, what it is there are so many college students now that are getting the micro books, the ultra books for their classwork that, I mean, it's just something that's, £1.50 maybe, or those razor thin friggin' little
Edges.
apples and whatever, and, all it is mommy gave me money, so let's go with the coolest looking thing. And then they realize, oh crap, I can't do anything real with this. It's just a friggin' word processor. But, somebody else just came out with a $500 add-on that I can steal from my book fund in order to throw on next to this, plug in my USB, hook up my external monitor, and I almost have a gaming machine now.
Yeah, but they don't need any of that for Dota 2 or League of Legends. A microwave.
But it's nice to have. It's nice to have, Jesse.
I know.
Come on.
It is nice to have.
I think the biggest thing with those external GPU things is they've finally given in and put a USB-C slot on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all the news that's come from them in a while.
Well, the good news though is especially for those of us with older hardware, USB 2, because you're not doing. Graham and I were discussing this on Skype, and he was under the impression that most of these, you send the data out to the box, and then it sends the data back in to be displayed on the laptop itself. Most of these actually drive an external monitor, so all they're looking for is the initial burst of data that's being processed out to the final picture, and so you don't really need anything more than a USB 2 for the most part for most games, unless you are looking to do 38 whatever by 19 whatever resolutions, in which case, then you've got to get up to USB 3 and higher.
Before I forget, one of the coolest things I felt from Computex was the new deep cool fans.
I didn't see those.
I saw those or not.
I've got them coming.
RGB as well.
Yeah, I just sent this to a link. I'm not good at screen
You're
sharing.
so lazy. You're so lazy.
Deep Cool did announce a full tower.
But I know how to do shit.
Yeah, you're a lazy man. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. You just outsource your work out here.
The built-in grills.
Yeah, I like those fans. I mean, this was something that I felt was unique and different.
Talking about fans, though, there was Corsair's new fans.
I didn't see those.
Magnetic levitating fans, whatever they called them.
Oh yeah,
magnetic levitating.
I saw that. I was like,
okay.
Noctua is doing some new fans too. They're doing 15mm varieties, so slim stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
But is it just more silent oriented, or something with decent static pressure though?
Probably silent.
Yeah.
It's hard to do with 15.
Yeah, gentle typhoon, baby. There was new fans that were announced, and Ben had said something in the chat here. He says, "I'm curious about the actual performance of Corsair's new fans. For that price tag, they better impress." Yeah, they better. This is. This, going back when we first launched the mods, one of the things that we wanted to do that no other site is doing to this day is legitimate fan testing and for cooling fan product reviews, of actually being able to test static pressure, decibels, and we kicked around some ideas of building a contraption to do this, and Mosquito invested and got some equipment. And we still have never gotten around to doing it. And then, the plan was that we would show the entire process of us building this equipment, so everybody could see what was involved and that it was legitimate and it actually worked and how it worked. So when we did the product reviews, we could use that equipment. And so what I'm trying to say is that whenever a new fan is announced and then they mention the specs, I hate to say it, I never believe the specs that the manufacturer state. Decibels maybe, but the static pressure and CFM, I think there's a bit of a gray area there most of the time.
And put it this way, you can accept that Modzu, if you exclude myself and the server, works like Valve. We'll do it right.
It might be 50 years later, but we'll do it right.
What the hell? What? Okay. All right. So we're on a VPS now. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right?
Unless you go to dedicated.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's see here. Peter had mentioned something about analog keyboard. It wasn't mentioned at CES, but somewhere an analog keyboard was announced. Did anybody catch that?
I didn't catch the brand, but it's been something that's been talked about for at least a year or so now. What it is there's an infrared LED at the base of the key, and it's a kind of a combination. So you've got your mechanical switch, but the LED is reflecting off of the inner base of the key, and there's an infrared eye on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And so it's actually timing the pulses.
Holy moly.
As the key gets closer, you can actually have several hundred or possibly 1,000 ranges set up inside the keyboard, and so you can actually have an analog speed or whatever depending on what game you're playing.
Any idea who that manufacturer was?
Well, Corsair talked about it a couple of years ago. I just can't remember who it was that I saw this last. I think it was last week that I saw it.
It wasn't Tesoro. Is that it? Is that their name, Tesoro?
It could have been. It really could have been. I've been seeing a lot of stuff coming out of that.
Did you say it was infrared?
Usually that's what they've been using for the prototyping that I've seen.
And Drew, we're going to do some reviews for Tesoro. They're making keyboards and mice.
Yeah, they've got an ultra slim supposedly on the way, and they were a little limited, so they were only able to get us one of the switch types that I asked for at this point. But their rep sounded very agreeable to getting me the second switch type as soon as they could.
Yeah, it does look like Tesoro is doing a prototype with the IR sensor.
Infrared key switches. Just was announced on Tom's Hardware May 27th. They're planning to do that.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, also speaking of keyboards, and EO brought this up quite a while back that he's into this, and you too, Drew, and Stu, custom keyboards where you guys would order custom keycaps. There's like a couple of different outfits where you can put in orders for custom keycaps.
Yeah.
Mastrop is probably one of the biggest ones.
Well, what I started looking at last week was like these artisan keycaps, where it's like you enter into a raffle to get the chance to buy these limited edition keycaps, and it's like $50 for a keycap.
Jeez.
Bro caps was one of the things I saw, and they're actually pretty cool. But wait, I don't know.
Bro caps.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah, you showed some of these, like, and they're like, are they actually handmade or molded? They're like custom molded by somebody.
Well, so I found a forum that a lot of the stuff goes off of, and it like all these guys are doing like resin. It's like resin cast caps. They're doing like their own custom stuff or 3D printed stuff. Here, got it coming up now. So, yeah, they're cool, but man, I don't know.
Spenny as hell. I mean, EO showed me some custom layouts for theme keyboards he was playing around with, and it was really, really badass designs. But then he said the cost was just insane.
Yeah. So here's one of the bro cap ones. So just it's just like a skull, like Reaper, and then it has different colors. They have different color varieties, green, and I don't know.
And it's the multicolor inlay that I think is really what makes this one so spendy.
Yeah. Well, even like mono black, $52. So
at least they're keeping their margin even.
Yeah, right. But it must be something with the resins too, because it's not just a flat color. They've got some personalized stuff on them. So that was pretty cool, I thought. Yeah, that's a whole nother realm. Whole
Yeah,
nother realm of stuff.
it is. Yeah, it's cool. Tesoro, at one of the events they were at this year, they had some custom keyboards on display that were just really cool. Different themes. But it would be interesting to find out like the type of resources out there besides like going through somebody like this to get this stuff made. But anywho, anything else you guys want to share before we close out?
I have a little bit of a security-related rant for the folks, just in general, but if anyone else had anything else for Computex before I get to that?
Don't think so.
Nope.
Alrighty. So, several times I've done little mini rants about keeping your asses safe out on the internet. A lot of it is password related. Don't reuse the same password across multiple sites. Don't use simple passwords. But you also don't need to have a 30-character complete gibberish, full alphabet with symbols and everything password either. One of the things that came up this last week was TeamViewer started receiving reports of several of their users discovering that their systems were being actively used by an unknown source. And some people were reporting that as a result their PayPal accounts or their bank accounts had been wiped out because these people opened up their web browser, just got in, found everything, and of course they left themselves logged in, and all of that stuff just happens. What TeamViewer found out on the other end was that their stuff hadn't been hacked through TeamViewer, but it was most likely a case of somebody had used a password on a previous website that had been hacked. That information's been released out to the wild, and look, your information's now open and available. Your email address that you used on these 33 different websites, and the people just logged in. One of the other things that they found out was most of these people doing the reporting didn't have second-factor authentication turned on, so they weren't receiving a little 6-character message on their phone saying, hey, you're trying to log in, type this code in if it's actually you. So my thing right now is I just want to remind people. A safe password is what is called a passphrase. Don't try to use a complicated series of numbers and symbols. Just use a long sentence that you remember. The more characters you have in it, the better. And the best one is, say you have a 40-character long simple sentence that you come up with, repeat it twice, 3 times, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more typing, but
makes sense.
Security is not convenient. Convenience is not secure. You've got to remember that. If you have second-factor authentication, turn it on. That way, if somebody tries to log into one of your accounts, you're going to get a notification, or they're going to get told, hey, you've got an application on your phone. It's showing a number. Tell me what that number is. Either you're going to get alerted and you'll know that there's something up, or they just simply can't get into the account. That's the end of it right there. If somehow they've got a man-in-the-middle set up on one of your systems where they're intercepting your emails or something else to that effect, and so your second-factor authentication isn't quite what it should be, the Google app, Google Authenticator, there we go, is a very good second-party or third-party second-factor authentication, and all it does is on your phone runs a series of serial numbers that refreshes every minute or so. And if you've ever used an RSA security fob, it's just like that. And so you'll get a pop-up on your screen when you go to log in. It'll say, hey, go to the application, type in the code. You do that, and all that means is that if somebody is trying to actively hack you, they also need to steal your phone in order for this to work for them.
Okay.
When you do... What's that?
Let me just mention that Peter Connie the other day told me about a website called Have I Been Pwned?
Yep.
To check to see if any of your passwords on sites have been compromised.
And that one is one of the ones that's actually run by known security experts. There's 4 or 5 security groups, like Krebs Online has submitted code into it to make sure that it's actually secure versus just somebody trying to steal your email addresses as you type them in. And that's a good site because what it does is it compares you to 10, I think, different databases that have been released.
And I want to mention too, and when I did that, 2 sites that maybe some of you are aware of, 2 big ones was LinkedIn and Forbes.com. Were 2 sites that had all their registered members' passwords compromised.
Yep.
So.
And a lot of these are older hacks too that are just being released into these databases. And the reason why it's important that it's an older hack is that the passwords were stored in plain text, so you didn't have any protection on the database. The other thing is for your passwords, trying to remember long passwords can be a pain in the ass, especially if you're doing it the right way and making sure every site has its own password. Use something like LastPass, 1Password. There's a whole suite of different password utilities. The good ones will not actually receive your data in the clear. What LastPass does is it creates an encrypted database on your computer that you have to log into, and you have the ability to create second-factor authentication for that database as well. And the only thing that it ever sends out over the internet to the LastPass servers is an encrypted blob. LastPass can't get your passwords. They cannot share your passwords. And if they are ever hacked, all they're ever going to lose is this encrypted blob. So unless they've got your password and your second-factor authentication, there's no way that anyone's going to get into that security blob. Other companies or other products will only store it on your computer. So as long as you're reasonably certain that nobody else is going to get access to the computer, go ahead and use that other software, whatever you feel comfortable with. But do not stay logged in to your password manager. Only log into your password manager when you need access to one of the other websites. And I'm sounding redundant on this, but
I'm freaking out, man. I'm freaking out. I got a list of passwords, umpteen different sites. Where am I going to find the time?
Again, convenience is not secure. Security is not convenient. So, I've seen too many stories this week of people having their entire bank account or PayPal account wiped out because somebody walked into their PC through TeamViewer. And I don't want this happening to anyone that I know.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hey, no
Good
problem.
advice. We got it recorded so we can go back to it and get all that good, juicy advice. So, good hangout, guys. That went a lot faster. We actually went over our hour by 20 minutes.
Yes, indeed. So, well, everyone that's watching, get out there, hack something up, make it yours. Just mod something, would you? Have a good week.
Don't hack. Don't hack. Like, not that kind of hack.
Don't be a hack. Don't hack.